House hackers, investors, millennials, first-time home buyers, have you thought about developing a house with an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, with the idea of maybe living in part of the home and then renting out a separate part of it as a little apartment? I have a client who's from Microsoft who is very young and ambitious in this regard, so we have been researching some of the options for how you can actually develop an ADU, which is an accessory dwelling unit, or a DADU, which means a detached accessory dwelling unit, like kind of a tiny house or a cabana or a she shed in the backyard that has everything that you need to live in, kind of like an efficiency apartment up to a I've seen 2-bedroom ones even. So the city around here, so I'm just driving into Seattle right now. I'm coming out of Renton. Renton was one of the areas that we were looking at that we ruled out, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And we also looked at Bothell. We were looking at these kind of north end of the lake and south end of the lake locations as a way of getting into Bellevue, both good commuting access to Bellevue, but without being on the east side of the lake where real estate tends to be prohibitively expensive, at least, you know, for the budget that we were working with here. We were trying to keep the project under $700,000. So we looked at Renton, and what we found was that Renton does not allow you to develop an accessory dwelling unit, which is a separate apartment like a mother-in-law space or a finished basement, as part of the existing building. They do allow you to have a detached accessory dwelling unit, which would be an entirely separate building, but those are not cheap to make. You have to get a new foundation, you know, roof, walls, siding, new plumbing, new electric. So a lot of people end up doing a construction loan in order to build something like that. Plus, you have to have a lot that's big enough for it. You need to incorporate, you know, where is this person going to park? Are they too close to the neighbors or the fence or anything like that? How are they going to access the property? If you have a very narrow frontage on your property, it may be difficult for them. I mean, they could walk along the side yard or something to get back there, but it may be somewhat awkward. So the city of Renton is trying to make this easier by providing ready-made blueprints. I think they have 8 or 10 different plans that are ready to go that range from building a 430 square foot kind of 1-bedroom efficiency unit up to a 1,000 square foot unit. And so if you use one of their plans, you don't have to pay an architect. They're also trying to encourage people by waiving their fees until 2023. They're waiving all of their kind of licensing fees and impact fees, and they're trying to all the work that they need to do as a city to approve your building plan, they're not going to charge you for. They've spent a couple years reducing it, you know, offering half of the fee and that type of a thing, but they were still not getting as many new building starts as they wanted. So now they're experimenting with not charging a fee at all and see if that helps the project move forward. One catch, and I think this is a big reason why it hasn't been more popular, is that the owner needs to stay in the property. So let's say I have a split level house, I live on the top, I develop the bottom as a separate apartment, and it's working great, but eventually, you know, I want to have kids, I want to live in a different area, I have a different job, whatever. I don't want to live there anymore. So my options are I cannot rent out that top floor and have it be a 2-rental house and leave. They do not want to have only tenants in the building. If you're going to have an ADU, you also have to have an owner-occupant on site. And I'm not sure how heavily this is enforced or if it's enforced, but if you're going to be putting that much money into something, it's good to know what the rules are, because if the neighbors complain or something goes wrong, you could get in trouble and you could be stuck doing it that way. So get rid of that rule, and I think you'd have a lot more people who are interested. But right now you basically have to sell the property if you need to leave as the owner occupant. Okay, the other place that we've researched thus far is Bellevue. And Bellevue actually does allow both attached and detached accessory dwelling units. So you could, for example, finish out the basement and make that a separate rental unit, which would be great because that would be so much less expensive to develop potentially. Especially, like, think of a split level home. You have a bathroom and a bedroom downstairs, you have a rec room and a wet bar or something like that. If you could just have that wet bar convert into a kitchen, throw a couple of appliances in there, assuming that the electric could take it, you could be very close. You'd need to seal off a secure entrance from the upstairs and the downstairs, and you'd need to have a way of getting out of the house. So some kind of sliding glass door or something down in the lower level as a way to leave, their own private entrance, if you will. Also, it's important for the bedroom, and this is for all bedrooms, it needs to have a window that's large enough for somebody to escape out of in the event of fire. So that could be a fairly simple, remodeling project. Turn the wet bar into a kitchen, there's already a slider, there's already a big window. It could be very affordable. And a place like that, I would expect, would rent, depending on your location around town. I see them at $1,000 all over. You could potentially get more if you were in a premium location or if it was especially big. But in Bothell, they have the same rule about owner occupancy. They want the owner to stay in the property with the tenant. So this could work well if you plan to be in the property long term, but again, if it's sort of a stepping stone, which for house hackers, it's oftentimes a stepping stone to getting either onto the next development project or to getting into the Seattle housing market in a way that's more affordable, and then keeping the property long term as an investment or selling it off. And if you're planning to sell it off, it may be desirable to some buyers, but I would think, just my gut as a real estate broker, most buyers want turnkey, simple, no hassles, no problems, and that involves not having a tenant in the basement. So just something to think about. Note about those cities is that owner occupancy requirement, but I do like the idea of the ADU and developing that as a way to make your home more affordable. So this has been kind of a behind the scenes with the broker, just some thoughts on what we're experiencing as we go through this. I, as of this writing, have not actually finished this project. I don't know where we're going to end up, but as I move forward, I'll try to make additional videos and then keep you guys posted on what we are finding as far as a good place to do this type of a project. And of course, if you are willing to go the official duplex route, where it's built as an apartment, then this doesn't apply at all. And if you're willing to rent out the entire home, that doesn't apply at all. The only time that there's caution in that regard is if it's like a condo or a townhouse, something with the homeowners association that restricts, has a rental cap. It restricts how many of the units in the development can be rented out. But for the most part, if it's just one single family occupancy per unit, either that's a house, a condo, or a duplex apartment type of thing, then you should be good to go, and this type of thing doesn't apply. So let me know how I can help. Always here to help, serve, educate. I like these kinds of projects. They do take a little bit more work, but not afraid of hard work. This is how we get jobs done, how we make money for our clients, right? So Emily Cressey here with HomeProAssociates.com. Check out our other real estate investor videos, and also we've got some great neighborhood tours and different videos if you're new to the area and trying to learn where you might like to live. So make sure you check those out, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.